day. Oh yes, it is. Sorry for a late start. So in this session, it's my intention to answer all of your most challenging questions on the topic of catamaran sailing and perhaps some other stuff as well. So I'm just going to jump straight in. And my new scheme, as well as the preloaded questions, is if there is anybody buying or selling a boat, I'm going to slot it in at the start of the Q&A as well, because the Q&A seems to be what most of the global Joyrider TV community are checking most weeks. So we have got Marco, who is in Portugal, and he's looking for a Hobie 16. So if you're selling a Hobie 16 in Portugal, then I think the first step would be just to put it in the comments or send me an email, and I will put you in touch with Marco, who would like to purchase your boat. There we go. That's a strong start, I think. All right, so just checking in with everyone who's checking in. Hello to Cux Ollie. Greetings from Northern Germany. Nice to have you with us. We've got Mark and Janet on board from Ohio. Hope you're keeping your shiny side down. Very much so. Which is from Cristiano. With the wrist reach position. Well, of the how to get downwind when it's too windy. If you haven't seen that video, it is an apps. I think it's one of the best ones that I've made. So do check that one out. Jibe. How can you perform a jibe in high winds and reduce the chance of capsizing during the jibe? So the first thing that we want to do is we want to be going into the jibe with some speed. So this is very important. The reason that it's important is the faster that we're going, the more we're reducing the pressure in the rig. So we're going to start off on our normal, we're just talking easier jibing. So the two things that make it easier is reducing the jibing angle. So this is a very regular angle that we're going to jibe through if we're sailing just with one or two sails, whereas if we're sailing with a spinnaker, the angle is going to be more like from here to here, so much less with a spinnaker. Now the reason that a smaller angle is going to help us is because we don't have as much distance to turn, which means that the boat isn't going to slow down as much as we go through the jibe. Very nice. So that is why getting as deep as possible is very good, but also going fast is very good for our jibe, because downwind point of sail, the faster that we go, the more that we're going to reduce the pressure and reduce the amount of force there is that's pushing the front of the boat down. So why would we bring the traveller in before the jibe? I'm not going to draw this actually. By bringing the traveller in before the jibe, what that means is that you can get the mainsail to go across to the new side much easier, much earlier, sorry. Why is getting the mainsail to go across earlier good? Well, the same that we're talking about with the jibing angle. The earlier we can get it to go, the more speed we'll still have, which means there'll be less pressure in the rig. So before you go for your windy jibe, bring the traveller in. If we talk say on everything with two sails, sort of halfway between the center and the tow strap is a good point, and of halfway between the center and the toe strap is a good point. And then bang it into the jibe all the way out, then it's going to be a lot later when the boom goes across. So we will be jibing much later. The sail will go across much later. There we go. So that is what I feel about the heavy wind. All right. So Leo is, of course, until the Europeans. And would anybody would think, Jan, Leo, that is a yes in there from me. All right, we got Ben on board from Pascagoula MS. Where's that? Mississippi. Is that my American geography letting me down once again? All right, Herbert is on board. He says hello again to all the nice sailors on our planet. I built my Hobie 15 graph. Greetings to the host. Thanks for tuning in, Herbert. Great to have you here. We've got Jens on board. Nice to have you on board, Jens. Up throughout the broadcast as far as I could hear. I've got some issues with my gear at the moment. So hopefully the noise will sort itself out like it did last week. All right. America. Nice to have you with us, Scott. Sorry, I'm a little bit thrown at the start this week because of my technical problems, which threw me off. Okay, we're just going to go on to the next preloaded question because we've got quite a few. And this one comes from Evo, who said, if this is the hull, maybe that is just shackled straight on to the fitting on the hull, which maybe goes down the side of the boat like that. So if you've got no adjustment on your shrouds, then perhaps a good strategy would be to actually, depending on the age of your rigging, if that rigging is old, perhaps get some new shrouds made and try to get a rough idea of how much too long they are. Because what we want to do is fit some sort of adjuster between the hull and the bottom of the shroud. The two good types of adjuster to have would be very common, much cheaper, would be a chain plate type adjuster like we have on most boats that we talk about here, but on the perhaps more technical boats that we have, you might have a bottle screw adjuster, which would be like this. So this is a threaded part here. And the good thing, and what happens is it's threaded up inside this barrel in the good thing with a bottle screw adjuster is that you've got ultimate control over how much you're shortening or lengthening that part. So you can have a really good level of adjustment there for your mast rake or rig tension. We will, of course, need to have an adjuster for the forestay as well. So if we look at the situation that we're talking about here, so if this is the top of the boat, here's our mast, there's the forestay, and there are the shrouds. So what we need holes in so that we've got a bit more of a reference here. The mast is a little bit small in this situation, but what we want to do before we look at changing how our shrouds are anchored is how far out is the mast rake with the shrouds as they are. So what we would do is take a trapeze wire, do this in a different color, and we'll take the trapeze wire forwards. I'm sure you've seen this in the mast rake or what would it be, rig, the mast rake videos for the bigger F-18 sort of boats. And we're going to tie a rope to the trapeze wire, and we're going to just place it on the bow fitting, and then we'll take the same trapeze wire all the way to the back of the boat and see where that same point touches at the back. Now, if you're getting that about to the corner, that's a really good starting point, which would mean that your mast rake is actually correct. But if this line is coming much further forwards, so if it's coming like forwards of the front beam when we touch it down, then that means your mast is much too upright, and yes, we do need to bring it back more. So there is going to be some in fact, it's quite difficult to know how much to shorten the shrouds to take some sort of adjuster. But what you could do is adjust the forestay so that then we are getting the correct amount of mast rake. So the angle of the mast will come back. But then with the forestay loosened, perhaps our shrouds will be very loose. So then we need to have a look and see how much slack there is in the shrouds. And then we would want to either get new, buy an extra. It would be an extra kind of that much. What's that? 15 centimeters. And 15 centimeters will allow change the settings. All right. So broadcast transmission. Hopefully this is going out, but I